Hi everyone, and welcome to the first video in a new series of chess videos I'm doing on an introduction to the game for a complete beginner. So I'm just going to, in this series, describe and define chess and explain how to play it. I'm not at all going to get into how to try and play it well. So this first video is simply going to define and describe chess, and future videos will explain everything else about the basics and fundamentals of the game. So let's define it first. What is chess? Chess is a game. It includes aspects of work and sport and science and art, but above all, it's a game. And games share many characteristics. They involve a lot of things such as goals, objectives, structure, rules that limit the context and means for achieving the goals of the game, decision-making agents or players, challenge, interaction, competition, an artificial conflict of sorts, voluntary participation, the quality of being fictitious or involving the understanding between the players that there is an external and larger reality superseding the game, and an uncertain outcome. So games share all of those characteristics, but I also think it's useful to describe the process involved in anything, not just the noun or the object. So kind of ings over isms. So what do you do when you engage in a game? Well, you play it. And if you play a game, if you're engaged in play, that means you're doing it for fun. It's an activity that's for fun, pleasure, enjoyment, recreation, and entertainment, generally rather than really serious or productive purposes. And chess is largely fits that criterion. Plenty of people play chess seriously. It's used for education. People play it for specific rewards, even monetary rewards. And they play it for a sense of achievement. But chess really is and should be fun. So keep that in mind and try to have fun when you're playing it. And if it's not fun for you, then don't play it. Because it's probably not worth it. It's meant to be fun. So I'm now going to look at Chris Crawford's taxonomy of games to also try and describe it a little bit more, not just as something that's fun. Because a lot of things are fun, movies, books, TV shows. But games are not only fun, but they're more than that. They're interactive in a way that a movie or a book isn't. But games are also not just interactive like Legos or toys, things like that. They're fun, they're interactive, but they're not games. Games also involve a goal. They're goal-oriented in a way that a toy isn't. But they're also puzzles that you can imagine are goal-oriented, are interactive, are fun, but those things are solo. Games involve other people. They're social, inherently social activities. So games are fun, interactive, goal-oriented, and social. However, they're not only those four things, they also allow you to interfere with or influence the other players. A foot race, for example, or other similar competitions are fun, are interactive, are goal-oriented, and social, but they don't allow you to interfere with the other players. So games must exhibit all of these characteristics. They must be fun, interactive, goal-oriented, involve other players with whom you can interfere. And chess meets all of those conditions, so it qualifies as a full-fledged, bona fide game. So that's what chess is, kind of locating it in the sphere of all human activities. But what kind of game is chess? Well, there are a lot of things you could say here, but I'll just describe some of the more obvious and useful characteristics of chess. Chess is a two-player, turn-based, abstract strategy board game, among other things. So let's go through those quickly. Chess is a two-player game, so it's played between two people who each control an army of pieces, and conventionally those pieces are, and those armies are represented by a set of black and white little figurines. How you choose which player plays white, which player plays back varies. There are a lot of different methods you can use. If you're playing in a serious tournament, an algorithm might decide for you. If you're just playing a casual game for fun, you can have desire and agreement between the two players decide. You can use chance. Take two pieces, mix them around in your hand, hold your hands out, and your friend chooses one hand, and then they play the color that they pick. So that's 2-player, and it's turn-based. So in chess, you take turns moving your pieces around the board. That's how you play. So white always plays first. That's important. And thereafter, the players alternate turns, moving one piece at a time, with one exception. That is castling, where you move 2 pieces in one turn. But we're not going to get into that now. Another important aspect of chess is that you cannot pass your turn. You can't pass the move. If you are legally allowed to do so, you must make a move. Okay? Chess is abstract. That means it involves, it takes place in the world of ideas and the realm of thought. It doesn't actually require physical or concrete objects at all. It's conventionally played on a board with pieces that are very physical and very concrete. But you can just as easily play chess while walking in the woods with a friend, and if you use the language of chess notation, all you can do is say the moves back and forth to each other, and that's a real game, just as real as a game played on a board. And indeed, very good players can play blindfolded chess games. And that's done often as a kind of a show of mastery. Chess is a strategy game, meaning it involves planning and maneuvering, and just kind of moving and operating your pieces around in order to achieve a goal. And finally, it's a board game, so it takes place on a board. As I said, it doesn't have to, but it's typically played on a board of 64 squares arranged in an 8x8 grid. So that describes chess a little bit. So now we've defined it and described it, so that's it for this video. In the next videos, we'll look at how the pieces move. Class dismissed.